All right, welcome back to the Melbourne Strength Culture channel. So today we've got a very special guest with us, Anthea Woodruff, who is going to be taking me through her 3 favourite glute building exercises and some tips and pointers on how to execute them better for better gains. And she's also going to be discussing some tips on female hypertrophy and training and some mistakes she commonly sees with training for females. So can you give us a quick introduction on yourself?
Hey guys, so I have been a coach for just over 2 years now. I've been training for like 6 years. I predominantly work in the fitness industry with females, so I'm a face-to-face coach and I also do online coaching. I'm also studying a Bachelor of Exercise and Sports Science. So yeah, big passion for female training, all things building glutes, strength, confidence and the rest. So yeah, very happy to be here.
Perfect, we'll get stuck into today's video. I don't know, you'll figure something out with that. All right, Anthea is going to take me through the hip thrust. So we'll start with the setup. When doing the hip thrust, what are some key pointers and some of the equipment needed to execute it?
So I hate hip thrusting when I have a bench that's way too high. It hurts my hips, it's just uncomfortable, I feel it in my back, but the moment that I have a comfy setup, then I can push weight and really feel my glutes. Usually we want a slightly smaller bench, so what I'm going to do when I jump in is use elevation, or you can use something like this, or you can chuck the bench into decline. There's various different setups, so it's really, really important that you find a setup that works for you and that's comfortable. Otherwise, they'll feel super uncomfortable and you'll probably hate them. So what we're looking for is that 90-degree angle. If you've got your feet too close to your bum, so if you just want to demonstrate that, bring your feet in. Yep, you're going to be hitting more quads. So that might be one reason why they're not feeling comfortable. That's a perfect position for your glutes. So you're going to be able to reach full hip extension and posterior tilt at the top. If you bring your feet a little bit further away, yep, you're going to be hitting more hammies. So it's really important to get that feet positioning. Obviously you can't see your feet, so filming from side on, or of course having a coach or someone to look is pretty helpful. So the next thing we're going to go over is the upper body and head position. So it's really important that you keep your chin tucked to your chest the whole way through to ensure that you're keeping your ribs tucked down and your pelvis is tucking under to make sure you're getting more glute. So it's pretty common to see some people will have their head back. That means they'll have flared rib cage and their lower back's going into that extension. Extension there, ribs flared, and then as soon as you alter the head position, you can see his rib cage comes down and you can get that full posterior tilt. So this is the dumbbell deficit Bulgarian. Deficit meaning we're doing it with a little bit more range of motion. We've got the comfy thing, which most gyms don't have. You'll just be using a bench, which is fine. One heavy dumbbell, usually you can go pretty heavy.
We're sticking to 15 kilo stays. Needs to be.
Cool, so Charles, I'll get you to pop this front leg here. Yep. Grabbing the dumbbell on your open hip, and then taking that back leg up there. You want to hold on a little bit lower because these are assisted, but they're just kind of helping with that stability aspect. So you're not worrying about your balance and your core position. You can really just focus on hitting your glutes with these. So I'll get you to come down. Main thing we're looking for is that vertical shin. So really sitting your hips back all the way. And you also want to maintain that pelvis and ribcage position. So make sure that your core is working. So you can think about scooping that back leg under like that and sitting all the way down. So we're able to get a lot more range of motion this way. And yeah, hit the glutes. Nice. So another thing that you can think of, like naturally because you're holding onto that pole, your upper body is going to be facing a little bit more this way. So you're actually gonna get a crazy stretch on your side glute with that torso twist. Cool, so a common thing that I see when people are trying to hit more glute when they're doing Bulgarians is that they'll have their foot way too far away and they'll end up being in heaps of extension and not actually hitting their glutes. So notice how he's really far forward. He's getting like a hectic stretch on the opposite side, so it doesn't feel nice. And you'll just be in heaps of extension, and the range of motion usually isn't that big either. So if you take a closer stance, but then really focus on sitting your hip back all the way and actually getting your glute coming down all the way, still maintaining that vertical shin, you'll get a lot more glute. So now we're going to go over the dumbbell RDL, another great glute exercise. So Charlie, coming down, soft bend in your knees. Yep, beautiful. So making sure that he's keeping that stacked pelvis and rib cage, so not going into heaps of extension. And really, really pushing through the floor with your feet, thinking about glute the whole time, on the way down and on the way up. Nice, really push through the floor. Crazy.
Oh.
How'd they feel?
Oh, good.
Did you feel your hammies or your glutes?
Ass. More ass.
Yeah, crazy.
When I bent my knee, I felt more glutes.
Yeah, so you don't want to be doing these with too straight of a leg because you're going to feel them in your hammies more. So you do want that soft bend, but you don't want to be going into like a squat position.
All right, I'm sweating. Just been through Anthea's 3 favourite glute building exercises. So we know that obviously exercise selection is only one part of the puzzle. What are some of the other things that you take note of as a coach, specifically for females, and things that people need to know and the common mistakes they make when it comes to building glutes and hypertrophy in general for women?
Yeah, so common thing I see is that someone might have like a perfect program, but the execution of the lifts, so how they're actually performing them, whether they're doing them with correct technique or not, whether they're actually also picking exercises that feel good for them. Lifting heavy enough is a huge one.
Something I noticed that you said that not training hard enough. That's something that I still find in here with a lot of people, is that they're not actually working close enough to failure. Is that something that you run into a lot with a lot of your clients and people that ask for your help?
Yeah, for sure. So females usually never realise like how much they're actually capable of, and it's shown in studies as well. People always underestimating how much they can push. I guess with RPE, you know, you can rate it RPE 7 because it's like, you know, starting to get hard, but really, you know, they could probably push for 10 plus if they're really pushed. Another
big mistake that people tend to make is with their diet when it comes to hypertrophy. What are some of the mistakes that you see with your clients and new people starting to work with you with their diet?
Yeah, so usually I see females kind of want the best of both worlds. They want abs, but they also want glutes. They're willing to stay in a deficit and undereat, but they're not willing to, you know, go to maintenance, surplus, and spend time in a good building phase. So talking 4-6 months plus. Eating enough, fueling your body, lifting heavy, and building that muscle, and also gaining weight. So like I'll see girls, they're like, I want to build glutes, I want to build muscle, but then they'll freak out when they see the scale weight go up. So I know it's tough, but yeah, you've got all of those, you know, mindset and beliefs holding you back. So you just need to, enjoy the process.
Something you actually said to me before we were filming was learning to be comfortable at any stage of your training cycle, and that's something that we believe here at Strength Culture. Journey is the destination. There really is no end point. It's about learning to love the process and being comfortable with all the parts. Finally, we'll get to structuring the program. How do you typically structure a glute hypertrophy focused program?
So I'll usually, you want to be hitting your glutes in a variety of different ways. So you've got your stretches, so that's like your squats, your deadlifts, your lunges, your split squats. So that's loading your glutes when they're in that stretch position. So you're not really loading them at the top, at the top of a squat. It's at the bottom when they're in that peak contraction. And then also doing horizontally loaded and contracted position exercises. So that's like your hip thrust, glute bridge variations. So that's loading them when they're in that contracted position, when you feel that squeeze. And then lastly, doing some abduction and lateral work. So seated abductions, standing abductions, stuff like that, which is important, but it's definitely not as important as the heavier work, stretches and the activators.
So with some of those exercises and variations that you just stipulated, what kind of frequency are we looking at across the training week?
Yeah, so you can hit your glutes probably anywhere from 2 to 5 times a week. So your glutes are quite unique. A heavy set of barbell back squats or hip thrusts doesn't even compare to a set of banded seated abductions. So of course not all volume is created equal, so you are able to kind of hit your glutes a little bit more frequently just because you've got those easier lower load exercises in there.
And what kind of rep ranges are we looking for glute work?
Yeah, so we know that we can get hypertrophy in the 5 to 35 plus rep range. But sweet spot is 6 to 12. So majority of the work will be done in the 6 to 12 rep range. But I mean, you can go 15 plus reps again for those lighter banded, pumper, burnout exercises. And then you'll be biasing towards the lower rep ranges for your strength-based stuff. So your squats, deads, hip thrusts.
Awesome. So I think it's been a really helpful video. We really thank you for coming down. There are obviously 3 great glute exercises. If you are a female or a male looking to build your glutes and some glute-focused hypertrophy, try these exercises out. For the people that want to find out more about you, where can they find you?
My Insta is just Anthea Woodruff.
So Insta's the best way to get to you?
Yeah.
DM?
Yeah, DM.
Shoot her a DM if you want help, got any more questions, want her to coach you. As always, if you've got any new ideas for us to make videos, any people you want us to do some videos with, let us know. And as always, happy lifting.